Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I should say happy hump day. That's something that I've never said before on this show, because this show has always been Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have now moved our show up to Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you're listening to us live, we welcome you to the show. We're glad you're here. If you're listening to us live, that means that you are at blogtalkradio.com/Doctors of the USA. And I ask that while you're there, just hit the subscribe button. That way you get an email before our show that just is a reminder. And so if you are a subscriber, you would have gotten an email to let you know that we moved the show up to Wednesday. And there's another way that you can listen to the show as well. And I actually like this way a little better. And that's just go to iTunes. And you can do a search for Doctors of the USA, subscribe to the podcast. That way, you can get the show on your iPhone, iPad, iTouch, whatever device you have, and you can listen to it at your convenience whenever you want. And I just this past weekend traveled over to the East Coast of Florida, where our guest today resides, and attended the Florida State-Miami football game. And all the way over there was listening to podcasts that I had downloaded onto my iPhone. So I encourage you to do that. Today's guest is one of my favorites. She's been on the show before, and I shouldn't say one of my favorite. I think she best might be my favorite. We have really interesting guests on the show, and typically we have people who are healthcare providers, such as physicians. We've had dentists. We've had a variety of different physicians. We've had authors and people who've been out there in the public by with writing books, and then they do the tour and all of that. But today's guest is someone who's been on CNN. She's a celebrity. She's just a full-blown celebrity. And so anytime we can get someone with this person's sort of celebrity power on the show, it's always exciting. And we are going to be talking today about menopause and what women can do to help lessen some of the symptoms through exercise, and then what type of exercises they can do. And we're going to talk to Marta Montenegro, our guest today. So, Marta, buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Good morning, Jody. Thank you so much for having me in your show. It's a pleasure, and I'm delighted to be with you today and talking about this relevant topic to all women, because one day, sooner or later, we'll reach menopause. And I can tell you, as an exercise physiologist, that there's a huge connection between exercise and coping with the effects of menopause. Insomnia, weight gain, hot flashes, low libido, and unfortunately, a lot of just women aren't aware of how much exercise can help. And I think that this is a great show to communicate how through exercise and, of course, dieting, eating healthy will help you to prevent other health issues that arise with menopause. It's not just coping with the symptoms, but also heart disease, metabolic syndrome, osteoporosis. All those diseases arise with menopause. But women have very accessible tools to cope with these symptoms, and we don't have to be alone going through all this.
Well, it's an interesting show to me. First, I want to give your website out for people who want to learn more about Marta. Just right off the bat, martamontenegro.com. You can find out more about Marta there, and want to make sure people have that information. And it's funny, when we had kids, it was amazing. I started going to the OBGYN doctor initially with Melanie, and then we actually went through some of the other procedures that you go to. And what struck me and what was kind of funny is just how little I actually really understood about the woman's body, how all of those things work. So I'm kind of just, I don't say kind of, I'm really not that knowledgeable, and I think that's probably true of a lot of guys. And so what I do know is that I'm 42, I'll be 43, and when we had kids, from a time standpoint, things got a little more stressful for me, little less time, more obviously when you have kids, your sense of responsibility goes up and all of that stuff. And I kind of slacked off on my exercise. And one thing I've noticed, I'm just kind of getting back into it, I gained weight. After I hit 40, I felt sluggish. I didn't feel as good now. I started my exercise Monday morning, and what 5 years ago would have been nothing to me was really like, oh my gosh, I'm so drained. So as a man going through some changes as I get older, I can definitely feel a difference. And I know that with women, I suspect it's a lot more pronounced than even what men go through. And so I think this is a topic that I know we don't talk about. We've never talked about on the show. We don't talk about it in my home. And I don't know that, I think maybe a lot of people don't. And so I think it's a really, really, really important topic. And with that being said, let's jump right in and talk about what are some of the symptoms. You mentioned heart disease and osteoporosis. What are some of the symptoms that women are going to experience through menopause, and how is exercise, or what type of exercise can they do that are going to minimize some of these things that they're going through?
Jody, you pointed out two important things. One is that unfortunately, we all, especially of course women, we all remember having our first talk. When we reach puberty, we talk to our moms or to our sisters and about all the changes that are going on in our body. But unfortunately, we don't have this second talk when we reach menopause. And this is why I got involved with a second talk program from Poise Brand, which invite people and invite friends, sisters, experts to talk about anything and everything, from hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, to more emotional topics that come along with menopause and what women can do about it. And definitely, all the symptoms that we mentioned, insomnia, weight gain, hot flashes, low libido, and other health issues such as cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, can be prevented. There's plenty of studies that show that exercise can help you to prevent the symptoms and future diseases that women are exposed when we reach menopause. But how we exercise is as important as exercise in itself. So some of the complaint that we hear, because I hear you, is the same thing. Your lack of energy, your metabolism is slowed down, you start increasing body fat where you don't want to have it. And one of the problem is increased abdominal fat. And yeah, abdominal fat increases as women enter menopause, even without a change in body weight. And this is important to know. So don't panic. Unfortunately, we start to move fat from the hips and the thighs to the waist, which of course doesn't look good, but it's not healthy either, because that's the worst type of fat that you can have. This fat is more active than any other type of fat, sits on the organs. So this type of fat is linked to heart disease. And also keep in mind that abdominal fat increases hot flashes. The more fat that you have, the more that you inhibit heat loss. So how can you shrink that belly fat? Well, exercise. But how? There is plenty of evidence showing that high-intensity interval training is the best way to decrease particularly abdominal or visceral fat. And this is, instead of doing your long duration, low intensity type of exercise, switch to a shorter duration, higher intensity exercise, such as the same thing that you like to do, walking, jogging, biking, elliptical, but alternate short periods, 15 to 30 seconds at near maximum heart rate, and then followed by a recovery period twice the time. So this will make your exercise program shorter, but the intensity will go up. This is the best way to decrease abdominal fat. However, if your concern is high cholesterol, high blood pressure, which unfortunately also happens when we reach menopause, a study published in the Journal of Hypertension showed that menopause seems to induce increase in the blood pressure, not related to the effects of aging and weight gain. So definitely you can expect, or probably, hopefully not, but some women may have a higher blood pressure, may go through high cholesterol, decreased good cholesterol, high triglycerides. So again, what to do? Of course, eating healthy, dieting, eating more fiber, less unsaturated fat, more fruits, more veggies is important, but also exercise. But if this is the case, now moderate intensity, longer duration makes more sense than higher intensity. There's plenty of studies that show that moderate intensity aerobic, moderate intensity exercise help to decrease blood pressure, to increase the good cholesterol, to decrease the bad cholesterol. So this will be the way to exercise if you are facing either high cholesterol or high blood pressure. But the good thing is that there is another study coming out that says that when you mix resistance training with aerobic exercise, you can also get this benefit and maybe some other benefit that aerobic exercise by itself does not provide. And one of the last issues, I know that we're pressed on time, but one of the last issues that concern women is, and concern everyone when we are aging, is sluggish metabolism. And this is very, very important to tackle, again, through exercise, because unfortunately, as we age, we lose muscle, we lose strength, and when we lose muscle, we enter into a very dangerous loop because we decrease aerobic capacity, we decrease our metabolism, and we become more sedentary because we are lacking of energy. So preserving body mass is not a luxury. It's something that we all have to do if we want to live fully. So, and it's not just a matter of how you look, but how you feel from inside out. So definitely exercise, again, is in. But what type of exercise? Resistance training. You need to pick up the weights, whatever that weight means, but get something that puts some load in your body and that you can work the whole body through resistance training, because this is the only way to keep up with your body mass, to keep up with your metabolism. But also very, very important for women, because I'm experiencing myself, even though I'm very active, is bone loss. We never know when we start decreasing our bone loss, but we know that women, when we reach menopause, due to decreased estrogen, we increase our risk of getting osteoporosis. And definitely this is something that we don't want at all. And so pick up the weights and start exercising. It's not that hard. It's just a matter of being consistent, and just 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, but do it every day.
So you touched base on several things there. And the key component is basically this. There's a lot of things that happen to people as they get older. And if you live a sedentary life, these things are probably going to affect you. Things like potentially heart disease, but high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, bone loss, osteoporosis. You know, one thing you didn't mention that we've talked about a lot lately on the show is type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. And so these are all things that if you are sedentary or if you are not proactive and you don't have the type of job that keeps you moving and you don't manage your diet or manage your nutrition very well, these are things most of us are going to face. They just are. And there's one common component that really fights these things and fights them really well, and that is exercise. And so you mentioned the interval training with mixing short durations of high intensity with lower intensity, and then you also mentioned moderate intensity exercise, and then resistance training. And so for women who have, and I think, my generation, I'm 42, and I think my generation is a generation where the girls really started playing sports more. Mm-hmm. And so, the girls I went to high school with, and so they played sports. And so now my nieces who are now in high school and college, that whole generation of girls played sports more. And so I think that maybe there's a lot of women out there who have a background in having played sports, or maybe they've been to the gym, or they've done these different things. And I think for those women, it's easier for them to find their way into figuring out how to get started, or things that they can do because they have moved before. What I'd like to do is talk for a second about women who maybe have never really been exercisers. Maybe they didn't play sports in school. Maybe they didn't, they've had an office job, or they've been a homemaker, or they've had a type of job where there was not a lot of physical movement, and now they're getting into their 40s. They're seeing some of the indicators, or some of the things that you mentioned earlier. Maybe they're having the hot sweats. Maybe their blood pressure's up, or their cholesterol's up, or maybe they're beginning to have bone loss. But they just simply have never done anything that has anything to do with exercise. Those are the women I want to talk to right now, and ask you, to give us some tips on how to get started. And let me tell you, I feel the challenge because, I played sports when I was younger, and then I stayed active all through my 30s. Rode mountain bikes, I rollerbladed, I have played soccer, I've played basketball, I played softball. An active guy. Right now, it's tough. It is really hard getting out there and getting started. So for those women who have never done those types of things like I just mentioned, how do we get started? Those are the ones I worry about the most.
I totally hear you, and yes, you are totally right, because these women, or many people, will go through the same symptoms as we age. As you say, women or not, even men they go through the same thing. Forget about, of course, the hot flashes but low libido, weight gain, insomnia, all those things I think affect everyone. But how to start exercising is a good question for someone who has never exercised before. I say, well, just going through the basic. If you have sneakers, just put them on and start walking. One of the things that I always advise is not to try to set up a huge or a very big goal, or a very long-term goal, like I want to lose 10, 20 pounds, and I want to exercise every day, and those goals seem like very far away, and the problem with those goals is that once you fail the first time, you think that you are a failure, so you don't want to keep going. So instead of doing that, just write down a very specific and small goal, like walking 10 minutes a day. So maybe you're going to start walking 3 times a week for 10 minutes to 15 minutes a day. Once you have made that a habit, that you certainly are walking for 3 times a day for 4 weeks, well, maybe you can start now adding 15 more minutes, 10 more minutes, or 15 more minutes of resistance training. And you'll say, well, how can a woman start, picking up weights? Well, nowadays there's plenty of information, free information, of course good and bad, but free information on how to start a resistance training program at home. You get a resistance band or a tubing, and from there you can do basic things, a squat, a shoulder press, 3, 4, or 4 or 5 exercises that you can do. But more than anything, I would say that it's not how to start, what to do. I think everyone knows what to do. The problem is do it every day or do it most of the days. And that is a real issue, because I think that people set up goals like working out half a day, 5 days a week, half an hour, 5 days a week. And then, of course, they start the first 3 days and then they quit. And which is even worse than having it started, because then you have that, kind of failure in mind. So it'll be better to just say, okay, 15 minutes 3 times a week, and this is the time that I can do it. This is based on my lifestyle, what I can do. And once you feel that you reach a goal, that you made a habit, you feel empowered to take the next step. So again, I think that nowadays there's a lot of free information on how to start and what to do. You can go to my website and you have plenty of information there. I usually put on an exercise routine every week for free, and it's basically to be done at home or at gym, or so it's just more a matter of making the commitment and thinking that this is not something that you have to do, but it's something that you like to do. So I would say that first of all, you need to find what you like to do. And a good way to find is, to try to test all these free DVDs, like you get 5 minutes and you can test different things. You can test a little bit of a Zumba class or yoga, or, so you can see what you like, because definitely if you like what you do, chances are that you're going to keep doing it. If you feel like you have to do, that's when I get worried about making it a habit. So it's not that hard. It's more than finding that commitment with yourself. And you pointed out something really important. We are aging later. We want to feel planning fully and enjoy life fully. We want to be able to play with our kids or keeping up with the pace of the grandkids, and so definitely to do all these, we need to take care of our bodies, and the best way to take care of our body is to exercise and eating healthy, regardless of how you look in the mirror. It's not just a matter of wearing a size 0, 2, or 10, or 4. It's way beyond that. Is that when you feel healthy, you feel energized, and that's something that, of course, you irradiate to everyone.
The one thing we should say too is, whenever you start an exercise program, you always should consult your physician and make sure that you're all good to go. And one of the things that that I've heard, and maybe not women in their 50s or 40s or wherever they're entering this, but I just heard it's been one of the things I've heard women say over the years, or I've read about, is women say, "Oh well, I don't want to build muscle. I don't want to be muscular." And there's that, there's that thing, like, you just kind of snicker when someone says that, like, you know what, for you to be muscular, you'd have to live a lifestyle that would make you muscular, and you're not doing anything now. You're far from that. You don't have anything to worry about with that. But it's not about building muscle, really, especially at this stage in the game. It's about not losing bone mass, not losing muscle mass, and not losing your your quality of life, and it's a different perspective. And it's something, you know, you're talking about your size not mattering. And, you know, when I was in my 20s and 30s and I would exercise, there was a little bit of, or maybe a lot of, you know, ego, or I don't know, ego's the right word, but, you know, like, hey, man, I want to look good. Excuse me. Now, in my 40s with kids, I could care less. I really don't care. I want to feel good, and I want to be able to be there through the long haul for my kids. And the reality is that it's not that big of a deal to do the things we need to do if we just have the right paradigm about it. And that paradigm is that, hey, you know what? I'm not overcommitting myself here. I'm just committing to doing what I need to do, which may be starting off 3 days a week, 10 minutes a day, and just be consistent with it. I'm not setting a goal where I've got to lose 50 pounds in the next three months. And I think that mental aspect of it is really the key, is just having the right paradigm about the fact that I don't have to overcommit, just be consistent, keep realistic, obtainable goal in front of me, and focus on my quality of life and not losing versus gaining. You know, I'm not trying to gain something, I'm just trying to not lose. And, you know, you're going to gain, obviously, you're going to gain a lot of benefits, but, you know, having that focus of I have to do this or I am losing. And so you make a lot of great points there. And there is now the age that we're in, there's so much free information. People can go to martamontenegro.com and they can find out some great things. I can tell you, Marta, about 3 or 4 years ago, I don't even know if this thing is still available. I'm going to give a free plug here. I think it was Body by Jake had an infomercial for this product, and it basically had it is strapped to the top and bottom of your door, and at the top there were 3 different bands with you know, like the wrist or the handle, and at the bottom there were 3 bands. I think I paid $100, $120 or something for that thing. It was amazing the variety of exercises I could do just on that one thing. I could hit my entire body easily with just that one product, with resistance training for a 230-pound guy. And so that's a product that if you're 115-pound or 150-pound female, you know, there's an example of a product that can be very good. And then you mentioned also the DVDs. There's so many programs out there now that you can watch at home that maybe they're dance and they're fun, or maybe they're dance and they incorporate some sort of resistance training. It's really not hard to find out what to do. It's really about your mental approach. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, agree with you. And one of the best and free tools that you have to work out is your own body. Keep in mind that when you do a squat, you are carrying your body up and down. When you do a push-up, you are working your upper body the same way. So definitely, instead of sitting on the couch while, you know, watching the commercials, just get up and do squats and push-ups. I mean, that's a great tool to keep up with the body mass, and it's also a very good exercise to keep up with your bone mass. So definitely there are so many things to do. You can just run around the house and going up the stairs and things like that. Keep in mind that it's not just 15 minutes, 20 minutes that you fully devote to exercise. It's just what you do the rest of the day. The rest of the day matters. There's a study that showed that regardless of the exercise that you do, if you spend the rest of the day sitting, you increase your risk of mortality by I don't remember exactly by what percentage, but increases a lot. And the same thing happens if you are sedentary the rest of the day. So it's more about moving and thinking that whatever you do will help you to rev up your metabolism, will help you to why not to burn calories, to shred some pounds, and it's not just a matter of not losing, you're going to gain too. I mean, we know from our background, we know that people as old as 90 years old, they can get stronger when they start doing resistance training. Remember that there's a neuromuscular connection there, and so it's not just a matter of showing your bicep, but it's just a matter of getting stronger when you carry your grocery bag. So that's where a fully live, I think, resides, and definitely that's what we are all looking, and that's the approach that I want to take when I talk to women and to, whoever, men, kids. It's just a matter of being active and find something that you like, and definitely there's tons of things, as you mentioned, that we have in our hands to do, but it's more a matter of making the commitment and thinking that whatever you're doing now is for your health, but it's also how you want to spend your years, your life. It's more a quality of life than anything else. I mean, I think that I want to age, I want to get old, but I want to be as active as I can at any age. And that's what we have to invite people, because that's the word where many things will change, I think, in our country in terms of health. Prevention, and prevention starts with exercise and diet, and it's not that hard. It's just a matter of making small changes, fully believe and commit that those changes are going to guide you through a bigger goal, and they will be. I mean, it's a very healthy and I think joyful loop that you start when you see that you have a month already that you're walking, and that brings another thing. The ones you feel like that. Well, now I'm walking. Now maybe why I don't need more fruits, and then you start eating fruits, and then you say, well, you know what? I'm going to scale back on sodas, and then so one positive change and one positive accomplishment will bring another one. And overall, you'll get healthier, in no matter if you are reaching the menopause or you're just getting older. Definitely will help, and you will also set up an example for all the people around you.
Well, and the interesting thing is, if I called you, Marta, on the phone, and I said, Marta, I'm a female and I'm in my 40s or 50s or whatever age, and I said, Marta, I need help with menopause. Or maybe I'm a teenager or an adult, and I call you and I say, Marta, I need help with weight loss. Or I call you and say, Marta, I need help with osteoporosis. Or I call you and say, Marta, I need help with type 2 prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Or I call you and say, Marta, I'm suffering from some depression here. I'm low self-esteem. Or if I call you and say, Marta, I'm having, my testosterone seems to have dropped. Or I call you and say, Marta, my blood pressure is out of control, or my triglycerides are up. What's the one thing or two things that you're going to respond to me with all of those things I just mentioned? It's going to be exercise and nutrition. And so we're talking about menopause today, but really we're talking about everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
that's correct. And sorry to interrupt you, Jody, but one last thing is, don't reach out for the first, drug available, because there's no magic pill. Unfortunately, still, we don't have that magic pill. I think that the magic pill is exercise and nutrition. That's the magic pill. So even if you have to take prescriptions or you have to take drugs, anything that you do physically and eating healthy will help you to reduce the time that you are under prescription, or the doses of the prescription, and even if you don't see a change internally, will happen.
Yeah, Marta, it's always wonderful to talk to you. I hope that there are some women that listen today that sort of made a decision that, you know what, it's time for me to make even a minor change in my life, because I know that to sustain my quality of life, I've got to get moving and I've got to do some things. And I hope that they go to martamontenegro.com and or go to secondtalk.com for more information on and to join the conversation on menopause. And there they can actually have the conversation with you. That's martamontenegro.com and secondtalk.com. And Marta, I just want to say thank you, and for all of our listeners, if you like Marta, which I know you do, our next couple of episodes, we're going to be talking to Marta again. The next couple of episodes, we're going to talk again a little bit about exercise, and then we're going to have a talk about nutrition. So we're going to have a little series of Marta Montenegro here on the Doctors of the USA show. So Marta, I'm really looking forward to those shows, and I thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, Jody. It's a pleasure, and I mean, this is a great show and a great way to keep up the spirit of being healthy and live fully.
Okay, well, Marta, we will look forward to seeing you. And I want to encourage, again, everybody, go to doctorsoftheusa.com. We have lots of information there about new research that's being found, that's being released in the medical field, in the medical community. You can see all of our podcast radio shows there, as well as all of our TV shows, and encourage you to go there and check out what's going on there. Like us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. We're basically everywhere. And so, again, we moved our show up to Wednesday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back again with Marta next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, get out, get moving, be safe, and we'll see you then.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.